Everybody listen to We're Not Wizards. Because we are the best. And we're not wizards. No matter what anybody says. Goodbye.
Welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for me. Nobody ever joins in. Nobody ever joins in on the intro. Never sings the harmony. It's always continually disappointing. But I'm not here to be disappointed because I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling confident. I am feeling like somebody who is just rinsed down. They've got the menthol out. They're feeling minty fresh. Almost minty. Over minty. You know? Overly minty.
Yes.
So joining me, who's not even going to bother waiting for an introduction. I've got Rachael Blaske from 524 Labs. And we've had Justin on before. A long time ago. I don't know if he recovered from his guest slot.
I mean, it's true. I was in the background listening to that one.
He's I know he still wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and screams out, "Wizards!" I know that's the thing.
Oh.
You know.
You're just hacking into our cameras or something.
Something like that. We don't know. No, that's not true. Why would I do that? I got better things to do. But anyway, we have, like, there's all types of freshness going on. We've got control, we've got cooperation, we've potentially got a little bit of dancing, and but however, we've got stuff to talk about. So first of all, the most important thing is, how are you doing? I guess.
Oh, I'm great. I'm doing good, actually, comparatively, in the middle of this quarantine. It has been much worse. Things are much better now.
I don't know if we want to go into that, if you're in a space where you want to share that kind of thing, or if this is going to be a completely different podcast if you did that. Because you're working as a team. You mean you and Justin work as a team. I'm assuming you make all the important decisions and do all the important stuff, and Justin's just been a hanger-on. He's just somebody that just hangs about.
He's really just the pretty face. He's the pretty face, and I get everything done.
I didn't want to say that. Because people might misconstrue it. And I know that recently you did take to kind of trying to expose his pretty face by giving him kind of like a little haircut and a trim. And
oh my gosh, yes.
Apparently it broke the internet because his face went on social media and they just went, he's not only, he's Blaske. He's Blaske.
Oh my goodness.
And that's what happens. That's not true. I just made that up on the spur of the moment. But are you, in these strange times, are you managing to maintain the business side of things? I mean, is it something that has there been a lot of acceptance to things that have kind of been happening that are out of your control now? Are you just kind of having to more kind of like be like a reed in the wind and just bend with whatever way was what's happening with regards to manufacturing and stuff like that at the moment that's going on?
I mean, honestly, it changes day by day. And so there's some days where I feel like I have some clue as to what might happen, and then something happens the next day. So there's reading the wind days, and then there's I can do this days. And as long as I can just be okay with whichever one of those days it is. And that's not even just manufacturing. That's like, making breakfast. Like
it's making sure I'm getting out of bed the correct way.
Yes. My kids are like, okay, what kind of day is this going to be, Mom? All right. So,
because you've got a reasonable sized collection of smaller versions of yourself.
yes, yep.
How's that been? I mean, I take it you're having a role with the homeschooling. I mean, I've got one that I'm looking after, that I'm homeschooling, helping homeschooling at the moment. And you've got a fair number more. I mean, what is it like at the moment? Is it just, here, have everything to do, and then just please leave me alone for 10 minutes? Or are you regimented? Have you got Excel spreadsheets? Is there different colours on the Excel spreadsheet? Are you running? Have you been accidentally sending the homeschooling stuff to the manufacturer, and have recently your children completed kind of 5,000 in-tray cases for Mint Cooperative? Is what I'm asking.
There's such a blend in so many ways in all of these conversations. Because, I mean, legitimately, like, are you hacking into my cameras? Because how do you know that my favorite spreadsheets are Roy G. Biv and that I really do have all of those things happening? I remember, so my daughter, she's 12, and she had a rougher transition to middle school, and so I actually brought her home to homeschool her before all of this mania. And so she was around during the Mint control the preparation for it. So one day she finished all of her homeschool, and I said, great, I will pay you in brush markers, because she really likes art. And I had bought some very nice brush markers from the hobby store. And I said, I will pay you 5 markers to prepare 10 Mint control prototypes to go out.
Wow.
And they were done and done well. And she was the proud new owner of like a nice deep red and a black, and like all the things she needed to do her next project. So, it, like I said, blending. And when you say spreadsheets, yes, I live in spreadsheets, and my children's lesson plans are on Google Sheets. And I make a new tab every day, and I copy paste the next, and I fill in the next day's work. And it's creeping me out how much you know about me, Richard.
I'm just, it's like Sherlock Holmes. You've stepped into my room. I've looked around. I've seen the various markers and stuff like that. I'm just laying it down. I'm just laying it down. Kind of how it is.
I mean, you even know all of my haircutting adventures. I mean,
it's like an entire kind of, it's almost like how you can tell what's happening with the weather. Just the different colourings. It's like a mood. It's like one of those mood rings you used to get at the dollar store. You pick it up and go, what are you feeling today? And then you can just tell. But that's a strange thing, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of like my my partner at the moment, they're kind of like, I've just missed my hair appointment. The look in their eyes regarding, I can't kind of really do that regular thing that has become like a regular thing. It's like, I think it was like one of these things. It's like, there's certain silly things where you sit there and you go, this is actually quite real. And I think for them, kind of be going, I was meant to be kind of spending a couple hours at the salon today, kind of getting the old roots done and the haircut and coloured and stuff like that. And I was kind of laying it all home. And I think it's kind of continuing kind of small things. Have you had to set up kind of boundaries for kind of, I guess if you're doing this already in some ways, well, you're homeschooling some of the kids, have you already, is this kind of like, well, it just means that everybody's now kind of understands where I'm coming from? I knew you had this all kind of laid out and knew what you were doing anyway, but have you had to set kind of more boundaries with the other kids to say, right, okay, this has got to be the time where we've got to get the work done, and this has got to be the time where we can play around as much as you can, basically?
Well, my kids, I have one biological son, and I have 3 kiddos that I adopted all at the same time. And we, because of that, have a lot of trauma issues and things like that to be, delving into that. And they crave a routine. And so things that I actually, when you're working, I actually have to think about this in terms of preparing for Kickstarters. I cannot have it when my kids are having a massive transition.
Yeah.
So, for example, I would never run a Kickstarter at the beginning of August because they're getting ready to go back to school.
Yeah.
And it is absolute chaos. They have meltdowns, they have explosions, and there's always 1,000 meetings at the school because I'm trying to get them the support that they need. And so that's even something that I have to think about with my job. But when this just dropped on us, typically I plan for the summer. Starting in April, I will take, 2 months to start to plan out what our summer is going to look like. Yeah. I will build out routines. I will think through all the different things that we're going to be doing, and I will scale back on work. And I'll make sure that everything's handled in different ways so that that we just have a plan. There was no plan. There was, hey, guess what? You now have your kids for the rest of the year. And that was difficult. My kiddos, I had actually given up, and I had decided that I was going to send my daughter back to public school, and she was supposed to go back the day that they canceled it for COVID.
Wow.
And I had prepared myself. I'm like, okay, now I can ramp back up. I need to get ready for mint control. I'm going to get all this ready. And then that didn't happen. And so we've just I've always homeschooled my kids as they needed it because they have very complex backstories. And so if they're having a rough year, I will usually bring them home if they need to be and give them whatever extra attention that they need. And my rule was always I will homeschool any one kid at a time, but I will never homeschool more than one at a time.
Do you get that flexibility? Do you get that kind of flexibility? Because over here, there's not as high a level at home of real kind of homeschooling. But I don't know if that's because like my wife's like a family worker, so she'll go in and she'll kind of organise kind of help and support and assistance, and there's generally a lot of kind of that kind of thing. I think it's kind of like there's more like a gradual stuff because we've got like because we're a horrific socialist communist country, we have things, generally there's a lot more things provided by the state, and so that's what my wife does. But is there a higher, because I only really heard a lot more the term homeschool when I've begun to know more people from the States about, it just seems to be something that's kind of like a more popular. And part of it is because, well, I need to be able to reach my child's needs, or they don't feel the kids need to be met as well. So is that like a more popular kind of thing over there?
Well, I would say that it's not popular. It's definitely a subculture kind of thing where a lot of different religious situations feel more comfortable that way. Or, you've got people who are wanting to unschool. You've even got that. Like, it's just it's almost like a political leaning kind of thing to me anyway.
Okay. Right.
But what I would say is that with me personally, I have had a myriad of different jobs that have allowed me to stay home. And so I've always kind of put that, my family is usually my first priority. And coming into the industry has only happened once my kids were older and in school. And I was starting to have this availability during the day. And I was like, well, I suppose. And even during that time, when I first got into 524, helping out with customer service and stuff, I was watching my niece and babysitting her during the day, and she was adorable. She was like under a year old. And I would get up and do the 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. customer service emails, and then she'd come over, and then when she would go down to nap, I would do more emails and things like that. And then now it's during the quarantine, I would say we're finally in a better place because it's been going on long enough that we've achieved our new normal.
Yeah.
And so my kids have gone through that transition. So this would be the equivalent of September for my kids, September, October, after going back to school in August. So we're starting to kind of know the routine, feel secure in what we're expecting and what that looks like. And one of the things that I did is I made this routine, and of course it was a spreadsheet and there was lots of colors, but
is there lilac? Do you have lilac?
No, I always do Roy G. Biv. I love the rainbow. So I had the kids' plan for the day, and I tried to, sprinkle in breaks and everything. But more importantly, this time I made a second and third column, and I showed that mom and dad are doing things too. Yeah. And they're not used to that. They think the world revolves around them, and it was really hard at the beginning because if I was trying to work and they couldn't immediately have my attention, even though I was sitting next to them, it was really difficult. And I lost track of so many sentences and emails because, they would interrupt 2 and 3 times before I would finish the sentence. And you
get folk are getting half emails and stuff like that. So
I know. I have sent so many things and actually clicked unsend right at the last second. I'm like, wait a second, what did I just say? Yeah. And so Justin, he has always been working full time through this entire everything. Yes, he's been a full-time software developer the entire time, and he's also able to work from home during this quarantine. And so his company had said something to the effect of, we know things are really weird with everybody's home situations. Yeah. If you need to reschedule your office hours, as long as it works with your team, you're allowed to. And that was a turning point during my quarantine because I was finally not expected to do everything at once. Yeah. Because before it was, no, you're not going to get time to do this later because you're going to be exhausted because you tried to work and homeschool and take care of a house all at once, all day long, and now you're going to pass out at 6:00. And we changed it so that he works in his office from 8 to 12, and then he comes home from work. He comes upstairs from 12 to 3. Yeah. And I'm allowed to work then. And I can give my full and complete attention to work. And so I don't spend from 8 to 12 trying to do 2 things at once. I can give my full attention. I know that women are incredible multitaskers and all, but it sucks. So I don't try. I give the kids my attention from 8 to 12, and then from 12 to 3, I'm working. And then 3 to 6, he goes back down and works. And the kids, I usually have them play some sort of board game tournament around that time, and whoever wins the tournament gets to choose like a movie.
Wow, okay.
and then so they throw down their Pokemon and they're like, "Oh yeah, I took you out." I'm like, "Awesome, you get to choose the movie now, and now go disappear for 2 hours because I got to work some more." So that's really how it's been going. And then with regard to around the house, it is definitely much more 50-50 than it ever was because I just can't keep it all going and do all the things. And so it's definitely equaled out. And once we kind of hit that rock bottom, we've been coming back ever since because we're in our new normal too.
Yeah, it's strange. It's kind of like all of a sudden I've gained 2 hours a day. Just because I'm not commuting.
It's true. Do you have to drive really far for work?
It's like an hour away each way. But you just all of a sudden, and rather than kind of leaving the house at kind of 6:30, 7:45 in the morning. It's like, I'm not. I'm here. I'm working from home. I don't have to worry about it. So sometimes I'm getting breakfast while I'm starting work. I'm kind of like a man of leisure. I'm kind of sitting here going, this working from home is great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. My waistline doesn't appreciate it. My waistline doesn't appreciate it because I am so much closer. I just...
to the fridge.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of thing. It's the cupboard thing. And there's like, where did all the gluten-free biscuits go? And it's like, you realise that, I kind of ate them. Which takes me back to why we're doing the kind of the fitness stuff, which obviously nobody will be knowing about because we mentioned it before we started recording.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're just editing everything, right?
It's just the YouTube videos. That's all. It's like, it just takes a certain time when you're just like going, I really need to cut down the biscuits or accept the fact that I'm going to have to potentially roll to work, when we do go back to work. So, I've been doing the kind of the YouTube video fitness thing, which is fun. But these people don't make you think your genes are a failure.
You want to just give up? Maybe the genes are a failure. I don't know.
I'm genetically inferior. It's not that. It's like, it's like they're talking while they're doing exercise. They're talking at you, and they don't even sound out of breath. And we're going to punch it, and we're going to go the lift. And I
can't breathe.
Exactly. I finish, and I'm going to take a shower. My partner says, so how was that? And I'm like, are you going for your shower then? I kind of turn into some kind of, I'm sure if I went underwater, then that would sound like whale song. This is where we are. This is where we are with this. But, they're like going, and we're going to pop it and that. And I'm just like, how are you talking at the same time? I'm trying to coordinate. I forgot what my left and my right is. But then it's like, if I don't, this is the new routine, because I've now got the time back. So what do I use that time at? So I get up I'm disciplining myself to get up at the same time and do some exercise. And half an hour exercise isn't that long, actually. It's quite fine. And blessed be YouTube for all your free content videos.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, try to get it back to board games.
Board games.
Scrabbling away from this pit where we are. In general, 524 has worked extremely hard at running some very successful kind of Kickstarter campaigns. Most of your campaigns have kind of got into the high 5 figures, early kind of 6 figures. Has that given you kind of like a little bit of a cushion? Because I know of other guys that are like, them delaying the manufacturing is going to cost them money. Them delaying getting the product over is going to really, really cost them money. I know some guys are panicking a bit about getting stuff manufactured in China and other places and getting it sent over, because the longer it's out there, the longer it's not delivered, it's kind of really hitting the bottom line. So with yourselves, have you got that kind of little bit of a cushion, because you've obviously been very good at running the campaigns kind of so far?
Well, I would say that the margin in board games is not amazing. However, if you are paying attention and you are cutting corners and making sure that all of the things that you need to do are done correctly and responsibly, with stewardship, like we are charged with being on Kickstarter and having these people pledging us, I would say right now we're okay. Whereas a lot of other places, the main thing is that since we haven't manufactured yet, we're not sitting on tons of inventory like a lot of people are.
Yeah.
That said, it's not like this crisis has really slowed down a lot of the board game purchasing, honestly. It kind of has... that's one of the things where we're not sure what's going on most of the time, because now a lot of people are ordering things because they want to support, or they are bored at home and they want board games.
Yeah.
But people change their minds all the time. So it's not something that everybody is counting on to continue. But since we haven't printed yet and we have that money set aside to print, we're not feeling like we're down on sales because we didn't have inventory ready at the time. So in that way, I'm not upset that I don't feel like we're getting hit badly right now, whereas a lot of people feel like that because all of their numbers have gone down, or distribution closed down, or retail locations are closed. We're not in that kind of space because we were already kind of didn't have anything yet.
So what point, where are you with the projects?
Well, right
just
now.
Yeah.
We are sending everything. We just went through our samples for Mint Cooperative's campaign, and we sent all of the adjustments back, and they should start printing this next week. So that will be that first big order, and then Mint Control will be going in probably in the next month. And
wow.
So we're continuing on, and that way, if additional orders from distribution, because we're starting to be carried by distribution now.
Wow.
They're going to put in their orders, and we can get any extras that we need from that order.
Are you taking over more and more of the operational stuff, or were you always? Because with Justin kind of working, as you said, full time, has this become, are you heading up more and more of the operations?
Well, Justin did everything on his own, all the way through the Mint delivery campaign.
Right. Okay.
It was him and his partner Mel, and I was not involved at all. And then when things got real crazy with the Mint delivery campaign at the end, trying to fulfill, he needed help keeping up with customer service, replacements and things like that. So that's when I stepped in. And then at that point, he was real tired, and I kind of picked up more and more things, and he was able to kind of sit back a bit. And then along the way, we decided, hey, you've been doing this for 6 or 7 years straight alone. Why don't you let me give you a break for a bit? So he's kind of used this time to just kind of renew and rejuvenate, and while I have continued to run things and continue making games. So he's not as involved as he used to be. He's more enjoying, he's like, I can come home from work and be off work. That's a thing. So that's where he's at right now. He's enjoying a little bit more. I mean, he's much more into Animal Crossing right now than he is building out more games.
No, I'm not going to thing you on Animal Crossing, because people like what they like, and Animal Crossing seems to be very pure, apart from the horrible capitalist raccoon or whatever it is, trash panda that seems to be running the show. But yeah, I mean, if people want to do that, then that's kind of fine. Does that mean that are you getting more and more in terms of the design type of thing then?
I am a lot of things, but a designer is not one. So I am learning more and more about taking pitches and bringing in more amazing designs that are from outside the family, and getting real excited about some of the things that are in the future that I can't talk about quite yet. And it's just been amazing, because once we had Mint Cooperative and people saw that it wasn't just Justin designing, that Brian and John were doing it, then it's just kind of flooded in. They're like, oh, I want it. I have something. This would be great. And then the flood of Mint Tin contests, and there's been so many design. The design restriction for a Mint Tin game is a very alluring one to someone who wants to try something new or be challenged. And there's been a lot of really cool stuff that came out. One of the things that we just recently announced was we're going to publish a Mint 10 game that is not a Mint series game. It's called Starforge, and Jason Greeno won the Game Crafter Mint 10 contest, and I had been talking to him about it, and I was trying to decide if I felt like the market would allow me to put out a Mint 10 game that was not a Mint world, like Mint universe game, and we decided to go for it. So that's going to be something that we're going to kickstart here in the future.
Is it quite easy to? Is it quite easy to kind of like then get a lot of people kind of just contacting you? Do you get now? You said you've opened the floodgates, but you now get like, are you getting pitches kind of like all the time?
I try to keep it pretty simple. Honestly, I go looking and asking people more than they bring it to me, because people.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, some people do, but I usually find what I want looking more than receiving, if that makes sense. But for example, when I go to a convention, I'll usually put 3 or 4 spots on my calendar to take pitches, and the people who have contacted me throughout the year or whatever, if I check and see if they're going to be there, if I want to see, and then inevitably there's always something that comes up while we're at a convention, and I end up seeing something cool. But I usually am just scouting forums, and I look around and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. What a neat idea. And I am reaching out to them specifically and saying, hey, I'd like to see your game. What do you think about, showing me this at this time? Or I, would like to talk to you about it. So that's kind of what I'm doing more than that.
Have you been looking at anything on a digital format in terms of kind of like Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia and... because they seem to have all of a sudden a lot have sprung up out of nowhere. It's kind of like board game podcast, really.
There's a lot of people who are pushing on that right now. I am not a fan of that, because I don't know. I like digital, like as in like on apps. I like playing games on apps, but Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator, yes, I can use them, but they're not my favorite. For example, yesterday I played Tapestry. I like to talk smack a lot. Like I will usually start off like a game night, just like I'm gonna like just telling them, I'm like, I'm gonna crush you. I'm sorry, but it's gonna happen, and it has no bearing on the actual outcome. I very rarely actually win. But
I mean, you said at the beginning of the show, before we went and started recording, you went, I'm going to humiliate you on the show.
Oh, good
You're
Lord.
going to quit podcasting after this. You're just not, this is it. You be prepared. I'm not going to call you by...
Making me a horrible person here.
Calling you by your incorrect name. I'm just going to mispronounce you. I'm going to ask you on several occasions if who the hell if you know who I am, kind
making
of thing.
Me out to be a bully.
It's quite we don't tolerate bullies on this show. But on the other side of it, flipping that over, not try and flipping like a wrestling move. Take that, you bully.
All right.
But one of the things that's come up quite recently is Asmodee. They've started basically serving notice against like a lot of these mods on Tabletop Simulator. How would you feel as a smaller publisher at the moment in this climate? How would you feel if you went on to Tabletop Simulator and found that somebody had painstakingly produced kind of like Mint Cooperative or Mint Control or Mint Delivery or anything like that, how would you feel if you saw those mods on these tabletop simulators?
I would be flattered. I mean, honestly, you know, you might not know. We put all of our PNPs out free of charge. Yeah, well,
yeah, I saw that. True, I know that. Yeah,
I absolutely want people to have full accessibility to our products that they can't. I mean, it's only a $10 product. I mean, really, it's not. If you want a fully produced version, it's not a huge deal. If you don't, like, here you go. You can go print it out yourself. But a lot of people want to, own the real thing because we put a lot of work into making it super high quality. Like we were talking about how the age-old sleever versus non-sleever debate, and people are always wanting to sleeve the cards and then it won't fit in the tin.
Yeah.
And people, anytime they complain and say, well, I want mine to last for a long time, there's a guy who, and he's probably played it a lot more since then. At the time, he said, I have played Mintworks 168 times and there is zero wear on the cards. And it's because we really tried to put high quality cards in and, get them coated and because we know you can't sleeve them. And so for $10, you should probably do that. But at the same time, I also feel bad that I can't always ship to all the different places because their local post is awful. And I can't keep sending multiple copies of games because they keep getting lost in the post because they can't get them to their Peruvian village. So like I am really happy that we are able to give those things out so that people can play them if they want. And so when I see things on Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia, I just feel like that's really cool that they took the time they cared enough about playing our games that they put the work in. So, I mean, we have Mintworks up on Tabletopia, but I haven't gotten a chance to put all the rest of it up there. I mean, like I said, I've got a little bit of stuff going on. So somebody asked the other day, when are you going to have the rest of the Mint series up on Tabletopia? And I legit answered, when I have 48 hours in my day. So I just couldn't. It is what it is, people.
It's a labor of love as well. I mean, okay, I'm not being nasty at Asmodee because I understand where you're coming from, getting a bottom line, but and increasing it by firing people. But it's so bad. It doesn't. What they're gonna do?
I know. They're not gonna give you the games. That's what it is.
I don't care. I'll buy them anyway. If I want a game to review, I'll buy it. If I really, really want to review a game, I'll buy it, and that should be, the greatest compliment of all. But on the other side of it, it's like I see where the argument is, which is like, well, you're copying an IP, but there was always this argument about kind of video game ROMs, where people were putting video game ROMs on these ROM sharing sites, and Sony and everybody was constantly issuing kind of takedown notices.
Oh yeah,
but to
torrents.
But to me, kind of like, if somebody's taken the time to put my game on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia or something like that, like you said, it's like, if you give me 48 hours, I can do it. If somebody's done a damn good job of it, then they've actually invested the amount of time. So it's not a case that they're like just like saying, they're not like hovering their mouse pointer over a picture of tapestry, pressing Control-C, Control-A, Control-C, and then moving that into Tabletopia and press Control-V and right, done it. Do you know what I mean? Haha, Jamie, had you. They're actually taking the individual items. In some cases, they're kind of like scanning them in, kind of taking photographs, getting all the graphical properties and kind of putting them on the pieces and adding in the pieces and the rule sets and stuff like that. So I get it.
Yeah.
I really do. And I don't mean to be nasty about it. They know I'm only kidding. They know I'm kidding, but but they're big boys, so you punch up. But But at the same time, it's like, I kind of understand, but I kind of don't understand. I think the timing's just a bit lousy. If this had taken place at any other time, if this had taken place, say, like a year and a half ago, or if it was taking place in like 5 years' time, where they were saying, right, we're going to be stopping companies, anybody from using our IP, then I'd understand. But at the moment, people are screaming out to be able to play games with their friends, because one of the things about board games is the social aspect of it, as everybody's aware. I don't get it. You know, and 9 times out of 10, at the end of it, they're probably going to go ahead. If they really like the game, they're going to want their physical copy anyway, because a lot of these people love to have their cardboard just there as well. So it's a strange situation. I mean, would you ever flirt with a kind of the digital stuff yourself at all?
Of course. I think that it'll be amazing when we have Mintworks Digital. And
you're doing Mintworks Digital. All right.
I am not doing Mintworks Digital, but I have a studio that is going to do that, and that should be coming to Kickstarter soon too. So I am excited to see. I know that they're continuing on down all the other series, and it'll be really exciting. I love playing all of the apps on my phone.
Yes.
And I have so there was another podcast called Long Distance Gaming. And they, that's basically, that lends to my smack talk nature and talking while I'm playing an app. And then, basically we would just explain what we were doing, and I would just whine a lot and say, look, he's crushing me, and it's not fair. And then we would also, chat about other board gamey things while we were doing it, and then I would always lose, and then I would be mocked. But yes, I think that the competitive aspect that you can kind of turn on with some people makes them enjoy the game more, or they can actually not necessarily, it depends on if they're competitive people, but it definitely increases the excitement for the game. Like, oh, you actually care. So now I actually really, really care. And because there's so many people who don't care if they win or lose, which I think is great. I did a thing the other day on Meeple University. They asked, like, do you want to win? And I said, well, I do really like to win. And some of my best memories are when I crush like other gamers that are really, but it doesn't happen very often. And I'm
such a bad winner. I expect third. I mean, if I sit down for a 4-player game, I'm third. I accept that. But see, if I win, I'm so bad. I really, I do it in a kind of a sarcastic way. So people go, oh, he's just being sarcastic. But it's like, no. I mean it. I won. I am declaring my victory in your face, but we're doing it in a friendly way. Yes. So you think I'm being sarcastic when actually I'm just like, eat my dust. Dust boy.
See, yesterday I played Tapestry twice because I had never played it before, and I had smack talked all of this because I was going to play it on Tabletopia with some friends, and I had gotten them all excited. We were even throwing down like, oh, if she wins, she gets this, and if because I had made this huge deal about how I was going to win. Well, so I was like, Justin, I really need to play Tapestry, so I know what I'm doing tonight, and he sat down, he played it with me, and he had played it once before. I had not played it, and I thought I was doing awesome. I was like, I finished out my game, and I was at like 189 or something. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, first time.
That's decent.
Yeah.
That's a decent score.
I felt like that was respectable. And then I lapped him on the board. He was that far behind. And then he finished his last income turn, and he got like 150 points in the last turn. And I'm what is this? And he won 302 to 189. And I wasn't even mad. I was that impressed. I was like, how did you do that? And then that night I played 4-player, and I was dead last. Everybody's like, Rachel, what is... I'm like, wow, this is really bad. And then I read my Civ card wrong. And so I did horribly on my Civ points. And yeah, but I still had a blast and I had a lot of fun and everybody's like, let's play again. So but at the same time, I played Tapestry with Justin with the cardboard and just sitting there setting it up just felt good. Like, I'm like, okay, this goes here. This is like, okay, that makes sense with this because I was using it to explain it to myself while I was doing it. But when you just load up Tabletopia and it's all set up, it just looks like so many pieces. It's way intimidating. And yeah, I'm glad that I played it in real life before I played it on Tabletopia.
I think it's easier to kind of, it's easier when you're playing on Tabletopia in these places to sometimes get into a bit of a rhythm, you know,
that's probably
when you
true.
know kind of like the turns and stuff like that. And speaking of getting into a little bit of a rhythm, well, maybe not rhythm, but maybe a bit of shaking.
Is this your way of bringing up Mint Twerks?
Yes, it is.
That segue was fantastic.
Yes, it is.
That was a great April Fool's, wasn't it?
It was.
I
just
love it. We've been talking about doing that for years. And then the night before, I was like, oh, tomorrow's April 1st. We should do this.
But now you need to do it, though. You actually need to do some kind of game. Can you not do some kind of game? Or is this kind of like, are you going to kind of take it to... Because I just read it, I just laughed because I thought it was hilarious. And then I was like thinking, how's this going to work?
I mean...
And I was just wondering, I just wanted to think that you get the actual mint tin.
Mm-hmm.
And how you select your move that you're going to do. And what to do is, in order to select your move, you put the mint tin in your back pocket and you give it a little bit of a shake. And then what happens is you close your eyes, you open the tin and you take the counter out. And depending on the colour, that depends the power that you've got, what it's worth. So like say a white one's worth 1. Yellow's worth 2, brown's worth 3, bright blue's worth 4, and that decides the number of combo moves you can do in that particular. I was like planning it. This is planned out in my mind how this game's going to work, and then the next person puts
Are you pitching me a game? Like this is like
no.
It seems like a pitch. I mean,
I would just, a couple of cards. The person is like, they've got to do combos of different moves and they can link them together. And the idea is that you have a set number of turns and twists and steps. Mm-hmm. And the more powerful steps that you get, you can combo them. But you've also got to make sure you're maintaining the rhythm as well. So that you've got a dominant colour that you have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you pick a blue or a white or a yellow or a red or whatever, that has to be every fourth piece that you put down or something like that to maintain the rhythm of the dance. There you go. Done.
There's a game called Hedgehog Hop.
I hate it already.
And I bought it last year on Kickstarter. And I even bought the deluxe version. It has what's the word? It's not resin. It's not glass. What is it? It's like almost plexiglass.
I'm leaving you just struggling and drowning away as you pick plastic. Sand. It's made out of sand.
It's made out of sand. Thank you.
There you go.
Anyways, I upgraded so that it was nice tiles.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids will play that, and it's like that. You have to maintain the rhythm. There's a game out there for you already, Richard. You didn't even know.
So this is the thing.
That it doesn't have to be a mint.
This is why. I know. This is what worries me now. When I'm like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like building cities through an age and using different technology, and you're going through the time through the ages then. Oh, okay, back to the drawing board then. You know, and all these ideas that I come up with, somebody else has done. There's an insult in Scotland which is in connection with hedgehogs, which is basically, I hope your next poo's a hedgehog, which I always thought was amazing. So there you go. What's next for you guys then? I mean, you're busy. You know, is your next game going to be Mint Bees? Because that was a theme for a while that everybody liked. You know.
Ah, yes. No. Nope. Actually, we with Mint Digital, we're gonna probably be spotlighting them a little bit because I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to not having to run the Kickstarter myself because it's not us. It's like, okay, cool. I'll just point everybody at you, and I will not do that. And then there's some exciting stuff coming up. I'm just saying that we've got all these things that are going on now that we're getting through manufacturing, and I have some exciting things that you just might want to keep an eye out for that I can't quite talk about yet.
Seething. Okay, so if we have listened along to tonight with distinct, and measured appreciation and fascination, and we'd like to keep up with what you are doing at 524. Well, where do we find you on the internet webs?
Oh, on the interwebs, there is 524labs.com. There is mintseries.com. And you can always find me on Facebook. That's kind of my platform of choice. And there's 524 Labs, the page, and Rachael Blaske is where I'm running around doing all sorts of things there. And then Instagram. Yeah, Instagram it has 524 Labs, but I still haven't kind of gotten into that. That's more my daughter that cares about Instagram. And Twitter, I'm sort of there.
I don't think everybody's sort of there. Twitter.
I'm there because I have an obligatory presence, but I do not check it frequently.
Signed the contract. I'm there because one day I foolishly... Because if I didn't, then somebody else would have got the username. And then I thought, I'll tweet. And then the rest is history.
Yes.
What we'll do is we will make sure that we put all those links in the show notes so that we have notes to show. Yes. If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, just go to the internet webs and search for We Are Not Wizards, and you'll find us in all the different places. Worn out faces, bright and early for those army bases. I don't know. Everything.
You got into that rhythm thing.
Yeah, you kind of. I was keeping on going, but I couldn't kind of keep it going. If you know what I'm talking about. If you want to read our words, go to we'renotwizards.co.uk. If you want to hear my voice, you fools, go to we'renotwizards.com. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those other silly places where they've got the podcast catchers of choice. They've both got the words pod in them, the words cast in them, or if you're trying to be popular like Spotify, you've got none of them. Scum. If you like what you listen to, tell somebody else, because that's how we spread like butter. There's only a couple more things to do. Thank you very, very much for coming on. I know it kind of went left and right and everything like that. This has been... I had fun. You might not have.
Yeah.
You might forge with regret.
This is my all day, every day. Just going this way and then, let's go this way. And I've zinged when I should have zanged, as they would say. But yeah. But there's only a couple more things to do. Probably the first thing is to remember that we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Rachel? Absolutely not.
Yes. Brilliant. I'm only happy because I've been messed around in the last couple of episodes and it's made me sad. It's so nice to hear somebody kind of forwarding on with message, which is what I like to hear. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from the rather wonderful, rather fantastic Rachael Blaske. Say goodbye. Rachel.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
And as a goodbye from me, remember, stay safe, stay at home. It's ASMR time. Stay safe, stay at home, make something awful, roll sixes in any order. We're in, lockdown. Just do it. If you want to roll sixes, then stay safe, then make something awful, then stay at home. You sort yourself out. That's all I'm saying. But until the next time.
Freeing.
Just, I don't know. Do you know what? Just do those YouTube workout videos and be happy that you're a red-faced, asthmatic, sweaty mess after 15 minutes. You can still, and that gut's never going to go unless, as soon as you stop the video, you go downstairs and have a cup of tea and all the biscuits. But until the next time, goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.